Finding the perfect relationship is not a matter of luck, it is a measure of your discipline, your clarity, and the standards you refuse to compromise. Too many people wander through life waiting for connection without first understanding themselves, without first cultivating the inner structure that commands respect. The truth is this: no one will value you more than you value yourself, and no connection can survive where chaos reigns within. Before you seek another, master your own mind, govern your emotions, and define what you will and will not accept. This is the bedrock of attraction. A relationship is not a remedy for loneliness. It is a mirror reflecting the strength, integrity, and clarity you carry. If you are unclear about your purpose, indecisive in your boundaries, or inconsistent in your standards, you will attract only confusion, frustration, and fleeting interest. Your standards are not walls, they are declarations of self-respect. They filter out what is unworthy of your time and attention, and they signal to the right person that you are someone who is serious about life, serious about growth, and serious about meaning. Do not settle for someone who dilutes your presence or diminishes your potential. The perfect relationship is forged where mutual respect meets aligned values, where both partners engage with intention, and where growth is prioritized over comfort. It requires honesty, responsibility, and courage to communicate clearly, to enforce boundaries, and to leave what no longer serves the highest version of yourself. Attraction is not created through manipulation or charm. It is created through consistency, integrity, and the unwillingness to compromise on the core of who you are. Seek someone who challenges you, who mirrors your highest aspirations, and who does not require you to shrink in order to exist. The path to the perfect relationship is not a search for perfection in another, it is a cultivation of perfection within yourself. It is the alignment of your actions, values, and intentions with someone whose presence amplifies rather than diminishes your life. This is not easy, and it is not for the passive. It demands self-reflection, unflinching honesty, and the discipline to walk away from what is convenient but toxic. The perfect relationship is rare, not because love is scarce, but because few people are willing to embody the strength, clarity, and responsibility it requires. So prepare yourself, strengthen your mind, govern your emotions. Define your standards. Do not negotiate your worth, and do not settle for a reflection of what you could be. When you do this, the right person will not just appear. They will be drawn to the authority, presence, and clarity you project. This is not fantasy. It is the law of attraction in its purest form. The universe responds to competence, discipline, and self-respect. Pursue the perfect relationship by first becoming a person worthy of it, and every choice you make will align you with someone who not only complements your life but elevates it beyond measure. Self-mastery is the foundation upon which every meaningful relationship, every genuine success, and every enduring accomplishment is built. It is not a luxury, nor is it an abstract ideal. It is a requirement for anyone who refuses to live a life of chaos, mediocrity, or constant disappointment. To seek fulfillment in another person before mastering oneself is to build a house on sand. It may appear sturdy for a time, but it will collapse at the first storm. Self-mastery begins with clarity, a brutal, unflinching understanding of who you are, what you value, and what you will allow into your life. It requires you to strip away illusions, excuses, and the comforting lies we tell ourselves to avoid responsibility. The truth is that no one can discipline your mind, govern your emotions, or sharpen your focus for you. That task falls entirely on your shoulders. If your attention drifts, if your reactions are uncontrolled, if your life is dominated by impulsive decisions and emotional turbulence, you will inevitably attract instability in every area, including relationships. Self-mastery demands that you confront your weaknesses with honesty and courage, not denial or self-pity. You must identify the patterns that sabotage your growth and deliberately dismantle them, one by one. It requires consistency, which means showing up for yourself even when it is inconvenient, uncomfortable, or exhausting. Discipline in thought, action, and behavior is not about perfection, it is about direction. It is the ability to choose purpose over pleasure, long-term gain over short-term comfort, and principles over convenience. Without this, any relationship you enter will reflect your lack of control, your confusion, and your unresolved inner conflict. But with self-mastery, you create an internal gravity that attracts people who resonate with your strength, integrity, and clarity. You no longer chase attention, validation, or approval, because you have cultivated your own authority and your own presence. You become someone whose life is ordered, whose choices are deliberate, and whose actions carry weight. This does not mean you become rigid or unfeeling. It means your emotions are tools, not masters, and your mind governs your behavior rather than reacting to every whim or provocation. The journey to self-mastery is not glamorous. It requires relentless self-reflection, ruthless prioritization, and the courage to embrace discomfort. It asks you to do what others avoid, to rise early, to plan meticulously, to confront fears, and to resist the allure of instant gratification. Every decision becomes a test. Will I act from impulse, or will I act from principle? Will I react to chaos, or will I maintain composure? Will I compromise my integrity for convenience, or will I stand firm in my values? Mastery of self transforms your perception of the world. Problems no longer dominate you. You dominate your response to problems. You see opportunity where others see obstacles, clarity where others see confusion, and authority where others see submission. In relationships, this becomes revolutionary. People are drawn to those who are calm under pressure, disciplined in thought, and consistent in action. They are repelled by indecision, neediness, and chaos because these are reflections of inner weakness. Self-mastery is magnetic because it signals reliability, strength, and maturity, the qualities that every person subconsciously seeks in a partner. Furthermore, self-mastery allows you to engage in relationships from a position of abundance rather than scarcity. You are not desperate for attention, validation, or affection because you have cultivated them within yourself. You enter interactions as a whole, complete individual, not as someone attempting to fill voids with the presence of another. This fundamentally shifts the dynamic from negotiation to alignment. Instead of begging for respect, you command it. Instead of compromising your core values to appease another, you attract those whose values align with yours. Every choice you make, every boundary you enforce, and every standard you uphold becomes a reflection of the mastery you have achieved over your mind, your emotions, and your actions. The power of self-mastery is that it forces clarity in all areas of life. You cannot maintain internal disorder and expect external harmony. The two are intrinsically linked. The work you do within yourself is mirrored in the world around you. When you cultivate discipline, responsibility, and purpose, your environment, your relationships, and your opportunities begin to reflect these qualities. In contrast, without self-mastery, even the most promising connections, jobs, or opportunities falter under the weight of inconsistency, poor judgment, and uncontrolled impulses. Ultimately, self-mastery is not a destination. It is a practice, a daily commitment, a constant refinement of mind and character. It is brutal, demanding, and often lonely, but it is the only path to genuine power, influence, and the ability to forge relationships of lasting depth and meaning. Before seeking fulfillment in another person, you must command it within yourself. Only then can you engage fully, demand respect, and attract the rare few who are worthy of your presence. Nothing substitutes for this. There are no shortcuts, no external solutions, and no magic formulas. Self-mastery first, everything else follows. Non-negotiable standards are the invisible architecture of your life. They define the boundaries of respect, clarity, and value that you refuse to compromise. They are not arbitrary rules, nor are they born from ego. They are the declarations of what you will and will not accept, the lines drawn in the sand that protect your time, energy, and dignity. Too many people wander through relationships and life without them, believing compromise on everything will lead to peace, only to discover that they have surrendered their self-respect in exchange for temporary comfort. Your standards are not a weapon against others. They are a compass for yourself, a statement to the world of the gravity you carry, the seriousness with which you approach life, and the integrity with which you govern your choices. To live without non-negotiable standards is to exist in a perpetual state of reacting to people's moods, reacting to circumstances, reacting to the chaos around you. This is weakness disguised as flexibility. True strength lies in knowing your boundaries, articulating them, and enforcing them consistently, even when it is uncomfortable, inconvenient, or met with resistance. A person without standards is like water without banks. It flows everywhere, loses direction, and ultimately serves nothing but itself in disorder. Non-negotiable standards create structure. They filter out what is unworthy of your attention and energy, leaving only what aligns with your purpose, values, and vision. In relationships, this is critical, because your energy is the most valuable currency you possess. You cannot invest it indiscriminately without devaluing yourself, and those who sense your lack of standards will test, drain, and diminish you. Standards protect against the slow erosion of self-worth, the quiet betrayal of values, and the subtle compromise of principles that often masquerade as convenience or love. They are statements of self-respect that demand reciprocal recognition. The right people are drawn to them, not because they are rigid or unapproachable, but because they communicate clarity, integrity, and reliability. When your standards are firm, people understand immediately what is expected, what is unacceptable, and what will not be tolerated. This creates a natural filter. Those who respect your boundaries rise to meet them, while those who do not fall away, revealing their true character. Non-negotiable standards are not static. They evolve as your understanding of yourself deepens. They are refined through experience, through the pain of compromise, and through the clarity gained from self-reflection. Every choice you make, every interaction you enter, and every relationship you pursue is a test of these standards. When enforced, they command respect and establish your authority over your own life. Without them, you abdicate control, leaving your fate and your happiness in the hands of others, hoping for consistency, respect, or honor that may never come. Enforcing standards is not easy. It often means saying no when others expect yes, walking away when others would linger, and holding firm when the world pressures you to bend. It is uncomfortable because the world rewards compromise and punishes firmness in the short term, but the long-term results are undeniable. Those who uphold their standards attract people and opportunities that are aligned with their values and intentions. They are not desperate for approval, attention, or validation because they have cultivated these within themselves. Standards eliminate ambiguity. They force clarity in thought and action, providing a framework through which every decision can be measured. They allow you to distinguish between what serves your growth and what merely distracts, between what elevates your life and what diminishes it. In the absence of standards, relationships become a negotiation of convenience, compromise, and unmet expectation. With standards, relationships become a meeting of equals, a convergence of aligned values, mutual respect, and shared vision. The people who rise to meet your standards are the ones worthy of your time, attention, and energy. They are the ones who will challenge you to grow, support your purpose, and amplify your presence rather than diminish it. Standards are not punitive. They are protective. They protect against the erosion of your self-worth, the dilution of your energy, and the slow compromise of your principles. They are the boundary lines that allow you to engage fully in life and relationships without losing yourself in the process. To establish non-negotiable standards is to claim ownership over your life, your time, and your presence. It is to refuse to negotiate with mediocrity, chaos, or disrespect. It is to communicate without words that you are serious, disciplined, and unwavering in your commitment to yourself. Every choice, every boundary enforced, and every no spoken from a place of principle compounds into a life of authority, respect, and alignment. Those who cannot rise to meet your standards fall away, leaving you with clarity and the rare presence of those who truly belong in your life. Non-negotiable standards are not optional for the person seeking depth, meaning, and fulfillment. They are the backbone of self-respect, the filter that separates the trivial from the valuable, the weak from the worthy, and the chaos from the order that sustains a life of purpose. To live without them is to drift aimlessly. To live with them is to command your life, attract those aligned with your highest values, and engage in relationships that elevate rather than diminish. Stand firm, enforce your boundaries, define your worth, and refuse to negotiate it under any circumstance. This is the power of non-negotiable standards. Mutual respect and attraction are not accidental. They are deliberate, cultivated, and earned through the consistent alignment of character, values, and presence. A relationship cannot thrive where respect is absent, where one person dominates while the other submits, or where attraction is fleeting and superficial. Respect is the cornerstone of any meaningful connection because it reflects an understanding of boundaries, an acknowledgement of worth, and a recognition of integrity. Without it, attraction collapses into frustration, confusion, or dependence. True attraction is not a game of manipulation, charm, or performance. It is a natural response to competence, authenticity, and the ability to govern oneself with clarity and authority. You cannot inspire respect in someone if you are inconsistent, reactive, or undefined in your principles. You cannot command attention if your presence is scattered, your energy diluted, or your actions driven by need rather than intention. Mutual respect emerges when both parties enter a relationship as complete individuals, not as seekers of validation or substitutes for missing fulfillment. It is a meeting of equals where both people value themselves enough to honor the boundaries, desires, and growth of the other. Attraction, in this context, is a reflection of integrity and alignment. People are drawn to those who maintain clarity of purpose, strength of character, and consistency in behavior. They are repelled by chaos, instability, and neediness because these traits signal weakness and unreliability. In any meaningful connection, respect is earned. The moment you demonstrate responsibility for your life, your choices, and your emotions, it is communicated through consistent action, deliberate boundaries, and the refusal to compromise on what is essential to your identity and your values. When respect is present, attraction deepens because it is rooted not in superficial trait or fleeting desire, but in recognition of authority, maturity, and self-governance. Mutual respect also requires courage, the courage to communicate openly, to hold boundaries firmly, and to challenge what is unacceptable without apology or fear of conflict. It demands accountability for your actions and the discipline to engage honestly, even when it is uncomfortable. Relationships are tested not when everything is easy, but when pressure, disagreement, or stress arise. It is in these moments that mutual respect either solidifies or collapses. Attraction that lacks respect is shallow and unsustainable. Respect that lacks attraction is mechanical and uninspiring. The combination of both is magnetic because it is authentic, reciprocal, and powerful. Respect is not conditional on agreement or convenience. It's conditional on integrity. Those who honor your standards, respond to your clarity, and engage with intentionality demonstrate that they are worthy of your time and energy. Those who fail to meet these criteria reveal their incompatibility. The strength to walk away is a measure of your commitment to self-worth. In turn, your presence, discipline, and authenticity draw the right people toward you. Individuals who resonate with your energy, reflect your values, and amplify your growth rather than diminish it. Attraction in a relationship is more than physical or superficial. It is psychological, emotional, and intellectual. It thrives on the unspoken signals of confidence, consistency, and competence. It grows when both parties demonstrate accountability, reliability, and presence in their interactions. The absence of respect or the disregard of boundaries erodes attraction, revealing that what may have appeared magnetic was only temporary or conditional. Mutual respect requires observation and discernment, noticing when someone aligns with your values, when their behavior matches their words, and when they engage with your presence rather than demanding it. It is an ongoing evaluation of compatibility, integrity, and intention. Attraction and respect are inseparable, because one cannot exist sustainably without the other. Respect without attraction may be tolerated, but it is lifeless. Attraction without respect is intoxicating but ultimately destructive. The interplay between these forces determines the depth, sustainability, and quality of any connection. To cultivate mutual respect and attraction, you must first embody the qualities you seek: clarity of thought, emotional regulation, self-discipline, and unwavering adherence to your principles are all signals that communicate worth and demand recognition. You do not plead for attention, you do not manipulate interest, and you do not compromise integrity for approval. Your presence alone establishes a standard that others unconsciously measure themselves against, revealing their alignment or lack thereof with your energy and values. This dynamic naturally creates a filter. Those who respect and are attracted to you rise to the occasion, engage fully, and contribute to a balanced, mutually reinforcing relationship. Those who do not fade away, exposing their lack of alignment and freeing you from energy that does not serve your growth. In conclusion, mutual respect and attraction are not superficial traits to be manufactured or negotiated. They are the natural result of consistent self-governance, uncompromising standards, and authentic presence. They require courage, clarity, and discipline, but they yield relationships that are magnetic, sustainable, and transformative. When you prioritize self-mastery, enforce your non-negotiable standards, and engage as a whole, complete individual, mutual respect and attraction follow inevitably. They are the reward for those who refuse to settle for less than integrity, value, and alignment. And they are the framework upon which every powerful, meaningful connection is built. Without respect, attraction is fleeting. Without attraction, respect is hollow. Together, they create a force that sustains relationships, elevates lives, and mirrors the discipline, clarity, and worth that you bring into every interaction. Growth over comfort is the principle that separates those who live ordinary lives from those who achieve extraordinary fulfillment, impact, and relationships. Comfort is seductive. It lulls the mind, numbs ambition, and disguises stagnation as stability. Growth, on the other hand, is demanding, uncomfortable, and often lonely. But it is the only path to mastery, resilience, and meaningful connection. In the pursuit of relationships, career, or personal development, choosing comfort over growth is the fastest route to mediocrity, frustration, and regret. Growth requires discipline, the relentless willingness to confront your weaknesses, to endure discomfort, and to face the parts of yourself that are unpolished, unresolved, or inconvenient. It demands that you take responsibility for your life, for your emotions, and for the direction of your choices, rather than blaming circumstances, other people, or fleeting desires. Comfort, by contrast, is passive. It is the easy choice, the one that offers temporary relief but no long-term reward. Those who prioritize comfort over growth may enjoy moments of convenience or fleeting approval, but they will never experience the satisfaction, respect, and deep connection that come from living deliberately. Growth over comfort requires courage, because every step towards self-improvement challenges ingrained habits, social expectations, and personal fears. It demands that you move beyond the familiar, the safe, and the pleasant into the territory of effort, accountability, and transformation. This is where real attraction is forged, where respect is earned, and where relationships are strengthened, not by avoidance of discomfort, but by the demonstration of resilience, competence, and purpose. In relationships, choosing growth over comfort means refusing to compromise on what matters, addressing conflict rather than avoiding it, and engaging in hard conversations rather than acquiescing for the sake of temporary harmony. It is the willingness to hold boundaries, to communicate clearly, and to elevate both yourself and your partner rather than remaining stagnant in codependence, convenience, or complacency. A relationship rooted in comfort is a relationship of avoidance. It may feel safe in the moment, but it never produces mutual respect, deep attraction, or long-term fulfillment. Growth forces you to evolve, and evolution is inherently uncomfortable because it requires the abandonment of habits, thought patterns, and behaviors that no longer serve your highest self. This discomfort is not punishment, it is the signal of progress. When you embrace growth, you become stronger, clearer, and more magnetic, attracting people, opportunities, and circumstances that align with your elevated standards and values. Choosing comfort, on the other hand, reinforces weakness, uncertainty, and dependence, creating patterns that sabotage both self-respect and meaningful connection. Growth over comfort is a daily practice, not a one-time decision. It is reflected in the choices you make when no one is watching, the discipline to master your mind, the courage to pursue what is difficult, and the clarity to reject what is convenient but unworthy. Every moment you choose growth, you strengthen your capacity for resilience, your ability to navigate complexity, and your aptitude for leadership both in your life and in your relationships. Comfort may provide relief, but it never produces mastery, authority, or genuine attraction. Real growth also requires reflection. You must assess where you have settled, where you have prioritized ease over integrity, and where you have avoided challenge at the expense of development. This reflection is not self-punishment, it is strategic. It illuminates the areas of your life where growth is possible, where standards can be elevated, and where your presence can become more compelling and effective. Growth over comfort is ultimately a declaration of self-respect and intentionality. It communicates to the world, and to yourself, that you refuse to settle for mediocrity, superficiality, or ease. You are committed to becoming the best version of yourself, not for validation, but because it is the only way to attract what is rare, valuable, and enduring. Relationships, opportunities, and achievements will naturally align with your level of growth. Those unwilling to grow will drift away, leaving space for those who match your vision, ambition, and integrity. Comfort is deceptive because it masquerades as safety, but growth is the true pathway to security in your character, your choices, and your presence. It is the understanding that life will test you, challenge you, and pressure you into compromise, and that only through deliberate growth can you withstand these forces without losing yourself. The people, experiences, and environments that complement growth are not drawn to comfort. They are drawn to strength, discipline, and clarity. By prioritizing growth over comfort, you create a life that is magnetic, resilient, and deeply fulfilling. You signal to the world that you are serious about purpose, about standards, and about the meaningful connections you cultivate. You refuse to settle for easy approval, superficial attraction, or fleeting pleasure. Instead, you embrace effort, discomfort, and challenge as the tools through which mastery, respect, and profound attraction are achieved. Growth over comfort is not optional for anyone who seeks a life of value, meaning, and deep relationships. It is a principle that governs every decision, every boundary, and every standard. It is the mechanism through which personal authority is established, and the force that separates those who live passively from those who command their destiny. In the end, comfort is temporary, passive, and unfulfilling, while growth is enduring, active, and transformative. To choose growth over comfort is to claim ownership of your life, your presence, and your future. It is to step into the arena of challenge, responsibility, and mastery with courage, discipline, and clarity. And it is the only way to attract, sustain, and elevate relationships, opportunities, and experiences that are worthy of the best version of yourself.